Amen. Can't live with them, can live without them. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Crow here with Crow's Corner, where we rant on books, games, videos, television shows, and more. And today we are going on our part 2 of Xena versus the World. And we will be doing Xena versus today's male NPC trash protagonist. And this, strap in your seatbelts. This one's going to be a little bit on the nose to a lot of what's going on now. And mind you, if you are a male and you do listen to me, don't take offense to what I'm saying, but try to reflect and meditate on what I'm talking about and kind of look conscientiously at shows and things like that. But for people who are too young or were probably in their dad's ball sack when this show was out, Xena Warrior Princess was a New Zealand filmed and American shown television series with Lucy Lawless, starring Lucy Lawless, and it ran from 1995 to 2001, as well as to Carl Urban. If anybody knows who Carl Urban is, Carl Urban, who plays Butcher on The Boys, that was one of his first debuts, of course. Renee O'Connor, who played Gabrielle, of course, she was on it. Lucy Lawless, of course, with her fine ass, played it. I don't know why Lucy Lawless won't go dark haired again, but only we will never know, and only God will know, because bitch was banging back in the day. But let me just say it like this. Xena, if anybody knows me, like I said on my last videos, I am a huge fan of Xena. I loved her. I loved a lot of what she had done. I think she's I think it was an awesome kind of setting for young girls to grow up with and all the above. But today we're going to be comparing her to our NPCs. And if anybody doesn't know what an NPC is, non-playable characters, aka men. Okay. And the reason why I call them non-playable characters, because often the same toxic male traits often infiltrate male characters and all types of shows and films and everything. I mean, literally, Game of Thrones was a goddamn testosterone fucking fest. I mean, it was so goddamn filled with toxic masculinity. I was not surprised that their dicks were in other dudes' asses. No offense to, my gay people. I love you guys. Seriously, I mean, it would have been at least enjoyable for them, but it damn sure wasn't enjoyable for me. But we're here to just talk about Xena and how she fares up against male protagonists. And if anybody knows my crazily low-key biased opinion, I would have to say Xena would literally bitch slap all of these men today who are playing male protagonists. She was beating up niggas even on the fucking show. So, I mean, at the end of the day, seriously, quite literally and physically, she would bitch slap the fuck out of today's male protagonist. She would literally make Jon Snow her fucking bitch. She would. I mean, not that he needed much help from her to make himself look a little bitch, but he would. And it's not saying a little bitch in a way of he's not manning up. No, he just, even with all his manliness, his little manliness, he was a bitch. But this ain't about his musty fucking crusty I don't want it ass, okay? This is actually about Xena and how she stacks up to male characters and the ideologies on how male characters are portrayed in shows. And male characters have been failed by their own men who even write them as well too. They really have been. I mean, the only time I've ever seen a couple of males that I've liked and I've seen a change in them is that little Steven Universe boy, which BTW, I've never seen that show, but the few episodes I have seen from my cousins and younger siblings and things like that, the few couple of things that I have seen, they have been amazing with this boy. He's strong, but he shows compassion. It's the same way even too with Bo from She-Ra. He's strong, but he shows compassion. And it's sad as hell when only you can show that in cartoons. But mind you, the two people who did write these two characters, she was a female. The two people who wrote this, they were both female. So it goes to say, without a shadow of a doubt, that females have a certain way on how they would view males and male strength versus how men view it. And no, they're two different separate genres, of course, and all the above. But how would Xena fare off to dudes? Like I said, she would slap the shit out of them. She really would. Because there's this thing that's overwhelmingly played out with these male characters. It's always, and I mean always, the good guy has to do the right thing. No questions asked, no questions out. And it's easy for him. And it's just as easy for him as it is the Mary Sue women. It really is. It's just as easy for him as it is for her. I mean, it's like there's no life form in any of these shows anymore. It's really actually disturbing. I mean, think about it. If you really take and break down male protagonists, and you break them down in so many ways, they really are only comprised of three things: make a bunch of trouble and never pay for it, talk you to death about a fucking long speech of how they're honorable and what they're just trying to do the right thing, and then do literally completely nothing but somehow win the battle. Those are the only three things that actually they do. Okay, that it's just like, oh God, that's all that's based on them. And the thing is, I often hear a lot of male characters, or see a lot of male characters in this show, in shows. They always talk about being honorable or doing the right thing, or actively in action, within action, doing supposedly the right thing. But none of what they do in these long-standing series ever, and I mean ever, comes back to haunt them or bite them. Like I said in my last video, part 1 with Xena, every time Xena did do the right thing, sometimes some of those right things will come back to bite her. With these men on these horrible shows, none of the right thing that they do ever really comes back to bite them. At any point does anything ever come over to bite them in their ass. Never. It's just like, oh, they just do the right thing and then that's it. That's it. They're always right. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is somebody like kneecap this nigga. I can't. Like, I thought I could, but I can't. And Jon Snow is one of those goddamn protagonists that does that shit. And he's like, oh my God. It's like, I have to do the honorable thing. I'm going to spare her life. And I'm just like, nigga, she shot you. Yager shot you with an arrow like 6 times or some shit. Like, bruh, that didn't really all the way come back to bite him, because they were just like pity arrows because they were in love with each other. But it's just like, oh my fucking God, like, seriously, I would have just chopped off her head and been like 10 leagues to the wall right now. Like, that's dumb as fuck. Like, seriously. And mind you, he was supposed to execute wildlings. He's supposed to execute their asses when he sees them, man, woman, or child. You supposed to murk them. So it's like stupid as hell all the damn way. Their consequences versus Xena's consequences are different. Okay, and they are. He somehow just gets to stick his dick in her, and then Xena just does the right thing for somebody, and then they may possibly get to kill both of them. I mean, the consequences are just very, very, very polar opposites. And yes, it could be based on sloppy writing. In so many ways, it could be based on sloppy writing. But it's, how do you call it? It's that kind of issue, as well as it's always this with men, always do the right thing. But while they're doing supposedly the right thing, they're fucking up everything else and not fixing anything else. That's a lot of the problem too with a lot of male protagonists, and it gets so annoying so fast, and it gets played out very fast. It's like, it's like when Superman goes and he rescues everybody from Doomfist or God knows what, but then he then ran into 17 buildings that have probably, and ran into 17 humans and made him explode as he's getting kicked through buildings and shit like that. Like, it's just like, what about them dead niggas in that building? But oh yeah, you're overall saving the world. I get that part, the cost of few for many, but it's just like, nigga, take that shit somewhere else. At least Goku from Dragon Ball Z had the nerve to take the fight somewhere else. It's, to where it wouldn't fuck with folks, but that's a whole train wreck on Dragon Ball Z for another damn thing later. I might do anime and shit on protagonists from anime too, because they have a problem too, but that's for another damn day. But how do you call it? It's a lot of things too. It's a lot of things with Xena. Xena always, like I said, she always struggles with her darker impulse. Her darker impulses, her darker desires, her ability to want to so easily fall back into her old ways. But she never does. That's the situation. She never ever does. Even if she wanted to, she just never does. And with men, it's like they don't fall into their bad habits at all. They just keep straight shooting forward like an arrow. And it's just like, no, nigga. Like, you're not going to be... So nobody's going to test this nigga? Nobody's going to let this dude know that it's wrong to, like, fuck up shit? But just so long as he's doing the right thing, it's whatever. No. Like, people fuck up shit. Like, you have to be conscious around. And they don't make men conscious enough to igniting their goal, but cautiously looking at the steps and who they step on, who they don't step on, who they will step on, and all the above to get to their goal and how it affects them. And it's increasingly annoying. It really is. It really is. Not to mention the issue with males and this strong male dominance kind of vibe. It's always unfucking apologetically and in your face, like a pimp slap, heterosexual. It becomes that much, like I said before, increasingly annoying. It does. It really does. And it's like, are all these the traits of men? Is that all we have in this society? Is that all we will deal with in society when it comes to men and their traits? They're not adaptable. They're not anything in any kind of way. They're just the stone that sits on the side of the road. Come on. I mean, it's really fucked up. It's really fucked up in so many ways. And it goes back to people like Jon Snow and fucking Clay Jensen from fucking 13 Reasons Why. They're the self-righteous behavior and saying, oh, whoa, it's me, but I gotta do this for everybody and blah, 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 and all this kind of shit. Like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. Like, you're not doing anything but making a whole bunch of more situations worse. Clay Jensen was really that kind of asshole who was doing that. And it's always this put upon self-righteous bullshit. And Xena had her self-righteous shit, but she wasn't so in your face and so annoying about it. Xena was traveling to find honor. She slipped, she fell. But she wasn't just finding honor within herself, and she was finding forgiveness with herself. And it's through Xena's forgiveness and other people forgiving her and her solving and cleaning up her own fucking messes like a big girl, that she does find honor. See, the people like Jon Snow and Clay Jensen, oh, honor. But then they have no pathway to what makes them honorable. They have no fucking pathway. Jon was all about honor on Game of Thrones. What did he get that was honorable towards the end? What? Was it because he could sleep at night better with himself? Because, nigga, you done a lot of shit. I mean, White Walkers wouldn't even be over the wall if you weren't such a little curious, dumb bastard. Always, see, that's the thing. Always going off to do one thing, but then not thinking of the consequences on how it can affect other things. It's the same way with Clay Jensen and his bullshit. Like, you're just doing this and keeping secrets, but not knowing how it fucks with everybody else internally. Okay? And that's the deal. Xena thinks about, when she tries to save people, how she outweighs the options and tries to find peace. But when niggas get violent, it's on and popping. That's as simple as that. But she even knows that certain good actions have consequences, which goes back to the Gabrielle and the baby thing. She knows that they have good, that good actions can sometimes have bad consequences. She even says it. Okay? She even says it. That even good things can be bad. Or they can have bad, everlasting consequences that are just horrible. I mean, that's the thing. It's like she's more conscientious than anything. Meanwhile, Jon Snow's not conscientious. He don't give a fuck. It's just, we gotta protect the White Walkers. And Clay Jensen's like, we have to keep this secret no matter what. Like, nigga, what? That don't make no goddamn sense. It really makes no sense, ladies and gentlemen. It really makes no sense. It's a listing of fuckery that will forever marginalize itself and forever be one big gaping hole of pretty much a void that nobody can ever really contain. Because when you look at it, what did anybody get from anything on any part or any faction of Game of Thrones versus Xena? At least with Xena got to live with herself, sleep with herself, and be with herself. And she had a friend to do it for her. She had these kind of, things. Jon Snow didn't have nobody towards the end except for the White Watch, where he circle jerks all fucking day. Clay Jensen had some friends that had their own little secrets, and they were going to take them to college and possibly drink them away. I mean, it's annoying. And like I said, if you had to compare Xena has often always been offered power, but Xena has refused power. Xena was somebody who was rags to riches, but then decided to give up her riches to be somebody better for the common people. She was blessed by the gods in so many ways. Ares wanted her. So many gods wanted to deal with her and all the above. She wasn't just born and being a hidden baby. She wasn't like this, oh, she's a hidden princess. She was a warrior princess because she worked her ass as a warrior princess. Unlike somebody who was born and hidden by they goddamn estranged, I can't tell my wife shit, fucking, uncle who's like, oh, promise me, man. I mean, that's the thing. And the thing with males today and how they write males is, why is it that they're always the hidden prince? Oh my fucking God, Mary Sue shit. And they just know what's right away. And they often like to talk about women all the time. They often like to talk about women all the time being Mary Sue's. They love to bitch. The critics and the insults love to bitch about women being Mary Sue's all the time. But really, I mean, Luke Skywalker was a fucking Mary Sue. He really was. Luke Skywalker was a goddamn Mary Sue when you watch the goddamn movie. I'm like, nigga, so you just get it like that? Like a once in a lifetime shot to blow up the Death Star? And you do that already? So when, I'm getting a bit into a tangent, but when you think about these things comparative to Xena was that nigga. Xena was that woman. She was that bitch that just had it going on. But her journey was not easy. And every step that she took to make a world a better place, it would be tested, because the steps that she had to take to make the situation better would often come back and bite her in the ass. Some of the times they wouldn't, but a lot of the times it would. And it's never really shown that with male protagonists, which often gives males today an allowability to do whatever the fuck they want regardless. It's a selfish allowability that writers often tend to do, and often tend to keep progressing and pushing, because it's not that it's not good. It's not good. It's not good when people do that shit. It really isn't. And it's not that it's the male protagonist or the actor's fault. It's not that kind of shit. You want to know whose fault it ultimately is? It's the writer's fault. Because they write this archetype over and over and over and over again. And this is why Xena beats these male characters in so many fucking ways. That's why she does. This is why Xena will be forever more honorable than Clay Jensen, forever more honorable than Rick Grimes, forever more honorable than fucking Clay Jensen. I mean, Xander Harris. I mean, let's be quite honest here. Let's be quite honest. She has more honor than any of these people. More drive, more goal, more ability to want to do something, because she retraces her steps, even the good ones, and leaves no fucking stone unturned. Where these niggas just go ahead and just do whatever the fuck they want to, and then everybody's like, oh, he's a natural born leader. Like, what the no, he's a fucking careless leader. Not just Jon Snow, Rick Grimes too. Rick Grimes is trash. He's boring. He snaps in and out of it, has a moment. I'm like, oh my fucking God, we get it. You got trauma, nigga. Like, we get it. But meanwhile, bitches like Michelle and shit with the samurai sword, this girl in trauma like a motherfucker, but she out here murking niggas. It don't stop her. And I think it's always the situation with men. It's the self-righteousness. And it's that kind of, oh, I gotta keep doing this because it's the right thing to do, and keep doing all this kind of stuff, and that white knight behavior that's kind of aggravating as fuck. Even though black knight behavior is annoying as fuck too, and it's very toxic male masculinity in shows and movies is just a problem. I'm looking at you, Edward Cullen. Even though that's just as fucking bad. Okay, it's like these writers do not know how to balance these male protagonists, because a lot of what they inject into these male protagonists is really a version of what they want to be, or a distorted version of how they act, which is really toxic and annoying to fucking everybody. It really is. I mean, hell, think about it. Jon Snow and Clay Jensen were found on the most shockingly annoying fucking male protagonist on a countdown. On, like, if you just type in annoying male protagonist, you literally see Clay Jensen, him, Rick Grimes, all in the same category. And it's just like, along with that nigga from Supernatural and that other one, Vampire Diaries, I don't know what the fuck it is about, but they're aggravatingly annoying. And it's always goes back to the political agenda with men, that men will always be in power. They'll always be the same. They'll always be something special, and make something special of themselves, even if they come from poor circumstances. And they'll just always be special. But yet we often as women have to sit by and watch this shit for the 4,000th time. I mean, it's been around ever since film has been around. Okay? And the situation with Xena is she is special. But she's special because she worked for it. Whether she was a bloodthirsty warlord or whether she was just, I'm traveling to help people. She earned her specialness. She didn't just have her specialness on automatic valency. She earned her specialness. She earned her boon in the eyes of the gods. Jon Snow didn't earn shit. He just was like, I'm going to bitch and whine and go to the wall. Have people think, oh, you're special, even though nothing's special fucking about him. Whine, fall in love with some bitch, do some shit, let some wildlings in. I would have stabbed the fuck out of that nigga too, to be quite honest. Because his policies made no motherfucking sense. In book and in show. They made no damn sense. And that's the thing. Stepping over and doing stuff without consequences. And thinking that you can do whatever without consequence. That's the big problem. Like I said, a lot of people, a lot of males and toxic insults like to say women today are Mary Sues. And yeah, I agree with them sometimes, but niggas on protagonists need to check themselves as being Mary Sues as well too. I mean, why don't we get some Brandon Sanderson up in here and start directing Brandon Sanderson's work, please? I mean, somebody needs to adapt that shit. At least his male characters have a sense of themselves and they're not as annoying. Pretty much they're not as annoying. They often see things, they go through faults and trepidation very well. But you know, it's the issue that they use this burnt out male formula that is very, very annoying. It's a burnt out male formula that every man has to be seen as but every male has to be seen as every male has to be seen as a person who needs to be that guy. He needs to be that nigga. He needs to be that dude who goes around and does everything. But instead, he doesn't let his actions say anything. He doesn't let his actions do anything. And that's the problem. It's always just this talk about honor, do the right thing. But then they do these little action sequences, but that's just what they are. Action sequences. There's no meaning behind the fight. There's no meaning behind any fucking thing. I mean, the only guy who I can sit there and say that I enjoyed a lot, because he was who he was, and he was a king, and he was decent, but he was kind, he was decent, he wasn't annoying, was Aragorn. I actually enjoyed that damn Aragorn on Lord of the Rings. Now, mind you, was Lord of the Rings my favorite film? Not really. But he possessed the kind of different kind of strength that I did like. As well as that character Newt as well on, I think it was that movie where they come out of the suitcases, a Harry Potter or something, Fantastical Beasts. I enjoyed Newt. I really enjoyed these male characters. They were strong, but they weren't in your face, and they didn't have that same everyday toxic 1 + 2 = B formula. They didn't have that same formula. They really didn't. I mean, I have to say that. And yes, I know everybody hates J.K. Rowling, and I can't stand her fucking ass either because she's a transphobe. But I have to say, Newt was a good character on that Fantastical Beast kind of film. I don't know what it's called. Fantastical Beast and Where to Find Him. He was really good on that. And I enjoyed that very much. And the thing about Xena is, for Xena, you always know she's fighting for something. Jon Snow was not fighting for anything. Fucking Clay Jensen was not fighting for anything. And if they were so messy at the way that they did it. They were so messy. And a lot of the situation And this is the biggest problem. This is the big part. I'll let you guys on in a little secret. The biggest problem with these male protagonists like Clay Jensen, Jon Snow, Rick Grimes is the problems that they're trying to solve, they started themselves. Think about that. So when you overall look at this kind of system, it's toxic. The thing with Xena is the problems that she may have caused herself in her past, she goes to fix them. She doesn't start the problems right off the bat. She said from day one, when they aired it in 1995, it showed that she was on a quest for redemption. And she may fall off, but Gabrielle always got her back. As she always did. And I think that the industry in Hollywood often struggles with diversity in male characters. And they, like I said, they don't tell human stories. Xena was a woman who embodies so many traits that males try to aspire to on these shows with their garbage fucking behavior. They're fucking garbage. I mean, I'm sorry, I have to say it. The male NPCs of today and are garbage. They're fucking garbage. I have to say it. Like I said, I'd rather watch fucking cardboard dry than to watch these men again. I mean, and the thing of it is, if they try to make them interesting, like I said, they either make them sexist, like Sheldon Cooper, like he's so fucking annoying. I want to take an axe to that motherfucker so many times. His character is so horrible. Xander Harris. Oh, I mean, even Scully from fucking what is it called? X-Files. Like, they're fucking annoying. They're goddamn annoying. I mean, how did we do this? How did we get here? I mean, I'm gonna be quite honest. The nigga who played Hercules was still way better than that. And I might do Hercules and an analysis of Hercules versus the male protagonist today too. Because this is some bullshit, to be quite honest with you. But that's all the time I got, because oh Lord, this is giving me a headache with some of these niggas. It really is. It's giving me a headache. But like I said, shout out to my editor Carrie. Comment, like, subscribe. Thank you guys very much. Goodbye.